Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Zach Conine, the state treasurer, running for attorney general, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Pro Group Management offers workers' comp services to a growing number of industries. As businesses grow and change with the times, the need for a solid workers' comp program must be flexible and up-to-date. The evolving nature of regulations can make staying ahead of complex tasks challenging. But Pro Group Management simplifies the work so your industry can move forward and succeed. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted as always to welcome back to the program for your 9th visit, I must say, Zach Conine. He's the Nevada State Treasurer running for Attorney General. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Happy to be here. Can't wait for number 10.
Me neither. Let's start out with who knew you were an attorney?
Well, I don't feel the need to broadcast all of my many skills. In fact, I'm an above average pickleball player as well, but we haven't quite gotten out there yet. I went to law school at night. I was opening a casino. I went at night, did well, got out, started a firm. And we ended up helping a lot of businesses raise money, helping a lot of businesses expand, deal with problems. I have always taken the legal route to look at one that is about solving problems, and that's why I think it's so appropriate, in my experience, is so appropriate to move into the Attorney General's office.
Okay, be more specific.
Well, so in the Treasury, right, we solve problems. Sometimes that problem is that the state's not making enough in investment returns. We took it from $20 million a year to over $400 million a year. Sometimes it's there's not enough money in the rainy day fund. Took it from $0 to $1.3 billion. Our credit rating's not high enough. Got it raised 3 times. Sometimes it's a problem because we're not returning unclaimed property fast enough. Whatever that problem is, you have to approach it in the way that we've always approached problems, which is like a lawyer, looking at the law, looking at the Constitution, looking at regulation, figuring out how those things can be changed and interpreted in order to help Nevadans more efficiently. And that's what the job is, right? The Attorney General is the chief legal officer of the state. They are the lawyer for everyone. We have in our office an Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General that helps us out. Other offices have Deputy Attorney Generals. And when those are the best people and they have all the resources they need, when they're motivated and excited, the state runs better. And that's what I've been about for more than 7 years.
And really, it's the largest law firm in the state.
That's right.
I just want to touch on this briefly because you're here to talk about the Attorney General race. But the state's finances, when I talk to all of the local jurisdictions, the cities and the counties, they're all concerned either now or in the very near future about the lack of money coming in. How are we doing financially as a state, and are we prepared, if necessary, to help the cities and counties as we move forward?
Well, let's split it between how are we doing financially and how are we doing economically, right? Because financially, the state's in one of the strongest positions it's ever been. $1.3 billion in the rainy day fund, an absolute record. We have a credit rating that's never been higher because of our strong financial management and the strength of our reserves. We were able last year to add more than $400 million worth of investment returns, which now brings our total investment returns since I've been in office to more than $1.3 billion, which, if you take it, I'm the 23rd treasurer. If you take the first 22 treasurers, you add them all up, stack them on top of each other, you multiply that number by 6, it's still less money than we've made over the last 7 years, right? We're in a great cash position from a state perspective, which is why, by the by, we called for filling SNAP benefits when that shutdown happened. We have the resources to help Nevadans when we need to help Nevadans. Second question is economically, right? State's facing a ton of economic headwinds right now, primarily caused by this administration, their absolute, what seems to be relentless attacks on our way of life, whether it's tariffs or making it harder for people from other countries to come here, or even making it harder for people in Nevada to travel around, right? This sense and permeation of fear that's around the entire country shows up in Nevada's economy. We're seeing it in sales tax, we're seeing it in gaming revenues, and all of those put cities and counties in a place where they're hurting a little bit, right? And so the state has the resources to help, but the state doesn't have the resources to make up for the damage that's being caused by the federal government.
All right, but bottom line is that the problems to the cities and counties aren't just, to an extent, you're absolutely right, that they're caused by things happening on a federal level, but also, we have the caps on the taxation for property. And although I certainly am not going to be the one that says, hey, we should raise the tax cap, but that's something that a lot of people are looking at. But I think that would be political suicide for anybody that tried to do it.
I think we in Nevada for a long time have chosen to have a small government, but sometimes we want all the benefits of a big government, all the social safety net programs, all the other programs, and we know that those things are important, right? Building more affordable housing, making sure that the state is more affordable in general, money for mental health, money for police, money for fire. These things are all things that matter. They all take money, right? And so when there's any shock to the economy, any slowdown in sales tax, any slowdown in gaming tax, we feel it right away. Because it's not like we have this large government that has a ton of people sitting around doing nothing, right? We run relatively lean and mean, and that's good, but it also means we don't necessarily have the cushion when tough times show up.
Let's talk about some of the things that you have an interest in as far as the Attorney General's race. One of the things that's been under great discussion, as you well know, for the last several years is retail crime. As Attorney General, if you are lucky enough to be elected, what are your thoughts on lowering the threshold again for these kind of crimes?
Well, I think it's really important that we focus the efforts of law enforcement on the crimes that matter in our communities. That means we have to go after violent criminals. We have to make sure that rapes and murders, violent assaults, we take care of that first, right? And law enforcement has the tools they need. When I talk to members of law enforcement, what they want to make sure is that they can focus on their main mission, right? That whether or not the threshold goes up or down, people could argue in either way, but they want to make sure they've got the resources to take care of violent criminals and make sure we keep violent criminals off the street. That's where we should be focusing. That's where a majority of the attention should go.
All right. So retail crime is not a concern for you? I mean, it's something, interestingly, I think, that we all deal with if we go to the grocery store. You go to a Walmart or a Target or wherever you shop and you want to buy some shaving cream, you have to push a button and wait 5 minutes for an attendant to be able to come and help you get that because stuff is just flying off the street.
And I think it's important to realize that that's not a retail crime thing. That's a staffing thing. So those businesses have made a choice to have fewer staff in their building. And one of the reasons they've done that is they have fewer staff in the building because if somebody needs something, they press a button to do it. Those aren't going away. We could make the felony level for retail crime $0, and those buttons would still be on shaving cream for the rest of our adult lives. That is a change in the market. And those businesses, which are all public companies, major corporations, have made the choice to save on labor. And their way to save on labor is to control all of the product on the floor of an expense. It's not driven by retail crime. That's a great excuse. But if you look at the 10Ks, if you talk to the companies and the investor relations folks, this is a money game for them, right? So
you surprised me with that answer.
It's factually true.
And not, whether that should be the attention of the Attorney General's office, but just that in general, because, when we went through COVID, you saw the rate of, shoplifting, smash and grab, et cetera, go through the roof, especially when the dollar limit was raised to a point where you could steal a lot more and get away with it as not being a felony.
Yeah, and look, a majority of the work that the Attorney General does, as you know, is being a lawyer for the state. There's very little criminal work that gets done in the AG's office. But one of the things that we can do is look to fight the underlying causes of crime. Here's what we know. When Nevadans are hungry, crime goes up. When Nevadans are out of work, crime goes up. When Nevadans don't have a place to live, crime goes up. All of those things, all of those economic factors, all those social factors, we can work to solve. We need to deal with the underlying root causes of crime. That's where my skill set fits in. That's where we are going to spend our time.
Okay, so dealing with the underlying sources of crime. Explain.
So, for instance, one of the things we've been doing in the Treasury over the last couple of years is really focusing on housing affordability and housing access. We spent more than $2.5 billion of dollars into affordable housing in the state. That's a record over any 7-year period. We created the Nevada State Infrastructure Bank, which is building some of the largest union-built affordable housing projects. We worked with the governor's office and others to create a bill that eventually would become the Attainable Housing Fund, right? We have done more housing work in the state than ever before. And the reason we're doing it isn't just because housing is important, it's because housing is essential to public safety. When individuals are secure in their homes, the amount of property crime goes down significantly. When people have a place to live, they do not feel the desperation that drives some amount of retail crime. I'm not focused on putting people in jail. We need to put violent criminals in jail. We need to get them off the street. My focus is on lowering crime by lowering the things that cause crime.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Zach Conine. He's currently the Nevada State Treasurer and running for Attorney General. We'll be right back after this timeout.
Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
The new year is bringing new ways to win big during the $175,000 Winter Wonderland giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Win up to $5,000 in cash every week and a top prize of $20,000 in cash during the grand finale drawing. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Zach Conine. He is running for Attorney General. He's running against Nicole Cannizzaro, who is currently the Senate Majority Leader. As you look at the legislature and the fact that 3 of the 4 top officers are going to be gone in the next session, all running for different jobs, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it shows that our current system makes it really hard for someone to be a legislator and feel like that work is important and feel rewarded in it, right? And we have a very strange system. We meet for 120 days every 2 years. We're one of only a few states that do that. We have a very small staff for legislators when they're out of session, if any staff at all, right? And it puts a lot of burden on that legislative branch of government and therefore a lot of burden on the executive branch of government to make sure that the laws and the rules that are passed by the legislature actually get done. I don't think it's a great job to be a legislator. I think it's a lot of work, and I think it's not, super rewarding. And I think you're seeing that, right? You're seeing people move on prior to terming out, or try to move on prior to terming out because they want to go do other work. That's why I'm so excited to be in the executive branch, right? Because 365 days a year for 2 4-year terms, we've been able to go out there and make things better for Nevadans, not waiting for session to start, not looking for opportunities to change bills or change laws and then kind of go away, right? We actually do the work from start to finish, and that's so fulfilling to me. And that's why I have the experience to move over and become Attorney General, because that's what the job is, right? The job is actually executing on the work, not having a good idea, not passing a bill, not having a press conference on it, but actually doing the work that helps Nevadans.
Do you blame term limits on this?
Yeah, I think by definition, right, term limits remove institutional memory. I understand the arguments in favor of term limits. I understand the arguments against term limits. Seeing what has happened and seeing the kind of turnover, I think it's hard to make the case that Nevada is better off with term limits than it would have been without them.
John L. Segura, the former speaker, was on the program saying that it's been good for business. I'm paraphrasing here, but the lobbying corps, the LCB, and the governor all benefit from term limits. And you're talking about length of time. Bill Raggio served for 37 years. Most of it as majority leader. There were people, Randolph Townsend, Barbara Buckley. These are all legendary names in Nevada politics who thought that being in the legislature was a really good thing.
Yeah, and I think the fact that people can't be there that long, I expect encourages people to move on and look for other things. I also think it stops, kind of that long-term congeniality, or that cordialness maybe that happened between Republicans and Democrats, the ability for people to have friendships that lasted for more than a decade, work together, and then, go on and disagree on the floor and then find solutions that were best for Nevadans. I think all of those things have become harder with term limits, but they've also become harder in politics in general, right? Like it's strange to have Democrats and Republicans who are actually great friends in the same way that it appears to be pretty standard 20 years ago in Nevada.
Yeah, I think that there may be more friendships that are unannounced publicly.
Sure.
Than otherwise. And when you talk to legislators, especially privately, I think you get a lot more cooperation. And I wish that was more publicly aware, that it is not as bad as it seems, because the media, I'm taking myself, I'm not the media, I just have a talk show here.
Right.
But the media portrays the both sides of the issue, the extreme right, the extreme left, but there's a huge middle, and we're seeing that playing out. I think in the response to what's been happening in Minnesota, and I don't really want to get into that whole thing, but I think that as you talk to people, your friends, your colleagues, you hear a lot more middle ground than you do over here and over here.
By definition, right? I mean, I think media is a business. I think a lot of what we see on cable news is about inflaming the senses of the groups of people who are watching on the right side of the left side. No, not at all. Not at all. I'm trying to make y'all money. Our focus is on the work of the state, and the work of the state isn't going to show up on MS Now, and it's not going to show up on Fox News, right? It's going to show up by talking to Nevadans. We just went around the state, did another trip to the rurals, went to Ely and Elko and West Wendover and Winnemucca and Eureka and Battle Mountain and Fernley and Fallon and Austin and et cetera. And when you're talking to folks out there, their problems are the same as the problems that people have here in Washoe County.
Of course they are.
Of course they are. But if you just watch the news, if all you did was watch the news, and I think a lot of politicians do that, right? A lot of leaders in the state do that. They're focused on, how does my side feel about this? How does the other side feel about this? And that's how they make their decisions. I think the only way that we can really make decisions that are in the best interest of Nevadans is by going and talking to Nevadans.
I've always felt, and I believe I'm correct on this, that living in Ely, West Wendover, the smaller places in Nevada, is a choice. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you ignorant. They have the same access to cable TV, satellite TV, and everything else, and it's a lifestyle choice. But the issues are no different.
Right, and it's incumbent on us to figure out ways that they can still have access to medical care, which we've done through our HEAL program, which has helped put 60 or so doctors and nurses and other medical professionals in underserved communities in just its first year, and we'll do another 70 or so in the cohort that's open now. It's important to make sure they have access to retirement, which is why we created the NEST program, the Nevada Employee Savings Trust, which has created a pathway to retirement for almost 600,000 Nevadans, right? Millions of dollars being saved every month in that program. Just started on July 1. We, from a state government perspective, when you're in the legislature, you care most about your district, right, and broadly support the state. In the executive branch, we care about the entire state every day. And so finding solutions that work, not just for people who are suffering and hurting in Las Vegas or in Reno, but finding solutions that help out in West Wendover and places like Battle Mountain really matters. And I think we've done a pretty good job finding this.
All right, let's take another break. We'll be right back with Zach Conine after this timeout.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
You're in trouble with the law. It's easy to think you'll lose everything, but there is hope. I'm attorney Orrin Johnson. Your first step is to hire a serious attorney with the experience to successfully navigate the legal system for you.
Sometimes hope means addiction treatment instead of jail, and making sure you're treated fairly.
Sometimes hope means fearless trial attorneys will stand up to the government when they get it wrong. Call or text Orrin Johnson Law.
We'll make a plan.
You'll take back your life.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Points are flying out the door during the Point Party Palooza giveaways going on now at the Carson Valley Inn. Up to 1 million points given away each drawing night. And over 1 million in points guaranteed during the grand prize point explosion. Get in on the action at the Carson Valley Inn.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Zach Conine. He is the state treasurer who is running for attorney general against Nicole Cannizzaro. She is the Senate Majority Leader. Tell me the differences between you and her that Democratic voters should look at in this primary.
Well, I think you've got to look at record of electoral success, right? We've won 2 statewide elections, and the only way we were able to do that is because we got both Democratic support and also independent and nonpartisan support. In a state like Nevada, it's really important to have a candidate who can win an election statewide, and I've shown that I can win 2 of them. In my last election, I was endorsed by Dean Heller, of all people. We were endorsed by Danny Tarkanian, who's now running on the Republican side for Attorney General, right? He wrote an op-ed in the Reno Gazette-Journal whose headline, and I'm paraphrasing, was basically, "For the good of Nevada, vote Conine," right? We've been able to win elections. I think that matters. More importantly to Nevadans, we have the experience that's relevant for the job. The Attorney General is a manager and leader of 400 people. I've managed and led and hired and fired thousands of people in my life. That is the job. You know, in any state executive branch office, the most important thing is being able to attract, hire, and retain people who are willing to work harder than they would in the private sector for a lot less money than they would in the private sector. When you get a team together, as we've done in the Treasury, which now is a 3% vacancy rate, when I got there at a 20% vacancy rate, it's not because we pay people more, it's because we're exceptional at this. When you put the right people in the right jobs, it allows you to do the work of the Attorney General's office, which broadly is making sure that we're protecting Nevadans against bad actors, whether those are businesses trying to take advantage of them or individuals, defrauding the system. But it also helps make the rest of the state more effective. It allows us to continue delivering for Nevadans. And unfortunately, right now, it means fighting back against federal overreach, right? Making sure that the Trump administration pays its bills. Every day we're arguing with some 22-year-old in Doge who's never seen Nevada, probably has never seen anywhere west of his parents' bedroom. And he is trying to make sure that the state doesn't get paid for things we have done, right? Money that they owe us. We are fighting them in the Treasury while at the same time the current Attorney General.
That's literally going on every day.
Every day.
Still.
Every day, right? Or we're having to explain why we're doing work that was originally told to us to do by Congress. And that is a fight that's happening both in the Treasury, right, making sure we get those dollars, and it's a fight that's happening in the Attorney General's office, trying to make sure that legally we fight back and get the things we need. Both of those are necessary, and the only person who's going to be able to walk into that job on day one and continue doing that work is the person who's doing it now.
Do you, or are you willing to debate Nicole Cannizzaro on this program if she agrees to do it?
Sure.
It's going to be an interesting journey. We see, like I said earlier, we're seeing so many leaders of the state moving on to other jobs and positions. It's going to be a fascinating time. You're always welcome. We've always enjoyed having you here on the program. So
happy to be here.
Come back soon.
See you soon.
And we'll be right back.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Check out our archives section on NevadaNewsmakers.com. Great interviews going back as far as 2002. Really worth watching. We'll see you in the next broadcast.